City Commission, Carabel, is now in session. Commissioner Butler will give the invocation.
Our living Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity we have to serve the people of Carabel, City of Carabel. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for being the Almighty God who can do all things. You're all powerful. And Heavenly Father, we know that you know all things, that you have infinite wisdom. And we pray, Heavenly Father, that you will give us the wisdom we need to do the business here today. And Heavenly Father, we just love you and thank you for being our Lord, our Savior, and our God. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
we need to amend the agenda for discussion of city planning for discussion purposes only.
Could you speak up, please? Could you speak up, please?
We need to amend the agenda for discussion purposes of the Pickett's Landing. I need a motion for that.
Make a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the minutes.
I motion to approve the minutes from the June meeting.
Have a motion.
I'll second
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Public comment? Items not on the agenda? Any public comment? Good. Nobody cares. All right, Commissioners report. Commissioner Mathis,
I have none.
Commissioner LaPaz.
Yes, I just have a short report, thank you. Back in May, I requested a report on the property appraiser's good faith estimate of the total city property values, and that report returned back at $94 million of all the value of the city. This value is down about $6 million from last year's value of $1,889,000. That loss in property values is about $54,000 loss in tax revenue to the city. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention and to staff's attention. I know that the clerk and the administrator are aware of it. By now she's received the trim notice with the actual property value, and is it still down? So we'll need to be thinking about this and where budget cuts can be made. We were over budget last year, and we just want to try to do the best we can so we don't have to raise the millage rate. And just want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July, and be sure to go out and see the fireworks, city-sponsored fireworks on Saturday night just after sundown. Thank you.
Commissioner Massey.
I have one thing that I want to ask about, and that's some water going to Mr. Davis's house, Rita Massey's daddy's. Do you know anything about it?
She has a water tap, and we are working with her on a sewer tap.
Okay, she's got a water tap, but her dad, when they paid for the water tap, her dad paid for his water tap. Well, I don't know if they were cutting corners or what they were doing, but they tapped her dad in to her meter. Instead of giving them both a meter, they run her daddy to her meter, and they were both tapped in together. So now, this is my understanding that she told me, the city wants her to pay for 2 different tap fees. They want to separate her daddy in there because she sold her home. The one that had both of them tapped, she owns 8 lots altogether. She sold her house in 2 lots. Well, her dad lives right behind the house she sold. She's moving a trailer on of the other lots by her dad. Well, her dad was tapped into her house. They didn't do it, he's 97 years old, he didn't go out there and tap himself in. The city water department tapped him in. Now they want him to pay 2 different tap fees, right?
Yeah, every lot.
Okay, well, she had already paid the $50.
And she got her tap. The tap, her
She said
tap,
she paid tap fees for all 8 lots.
according to Keith, no city worker has tapped her dad in on her tap. That was done by either her nephews or her brothers or somebody run a line to her father.
It wasn't her nephews, because her nephews, as long as Mr. Davis has been over there, and if anybody knows Mr. Davis, he's been over there since I was a little girl, and I'm 44.
Well, that,
And her
according to
nephews
Keith,
ain't that old.
none of the city workers have ever put that
Well,
line.
she told me Franklin done it.
He might have on not city time, but that very well may be, but all I know is ever since I've been here, anybody that has a lot.
Well, that was way
has to
before
be-
you,
Right.
you was still a
Let
kid.
me ask
Right.
you a question here. On these taps that they have paid for, you said they paid for 8 or something?
She paid for 8 taps.
Do we have a record of that?
We do not, we cannot find a record nowhere. We can't find, she doesn't have her record, and we have every other record but hers, so. She has no canceled checks, we have a book of everybody that paid the $50, and hers don't show up anywhere.
Okay.
And so, and I'll come back in and talk to Keisha and Courtney Renee about it to understand it a little better. But Mr. Davis now needs his own tap.
Is the water line, you
The
know?
water line is still hooked up from the house, but if she sells the house, the owner.
Well,
Right,
the
they-
house is already sold, isn't it?
Once we found
No,
out
they
that
didn't
her,
buy it. The
Once-
people didn't buy it.
Oh, okay.
once we found out that her father was hooked up to hers, we started charging her a double usage, or a double minimum bill to cover that second half.
The base rate.
Right, 2 base rates plus all the usage, once we
So
found
there is
out.
a line there.
There is a line there, right. And we
Is there a
found out
line there
that-
close enough without being tapped into the original house?
Well, she's getting a tap. She's got a tap for her,
Okay,
but we only allow 1 unit per tap.
of course.
So,
One
like I
lot,
said,
so-
once we found out that her father was hooked up, instead of going and just cutting the line.
Does the
we just-
line run by the father?
I don't
that
know,
piece of
I'm not
property?
sure where the house is.
It's in between, it's not on you talking about the meter? Where
Yeah,
it's at?
the
Her
easiest way to
her
get
new
to the
meter.
water.
No, he's talking about the old meter, right?
Well, we know it goes to the old, the house,
Yeah,
the water
It's-
line. Where is the water line in relation to the father? Our water line.
It's on the road on 13th Street, and then he lives a couple lots back.
He
So
lives a
we-
couple, and those couple lot back, who owns those?
Rita
Rita
Massey.
does, unless she's selling those lots
No,
for the house.
she's not.
Okay.
Just the house and 2 lots.
Okay, so she's asking us to run a water line from the road to his house.
She needs 2 water lines, but she don't wanna pay
She
the
doesn't wanna
tap
pay
fee.
for the tap.
Because she said she's already paid the tap fee.
We'll talk about that. But I'm trying to see where the water line can be connected. If it has to run across Rita's 2 lots, she's liable to sell that, so we need easements and everything else.
No, it's gonna, the light, the tap part is behind her house. It's in between her daddy's house.
Well, somebody will have to go out and take a look and see what can be done. All she's,
I mean, there's
Miss
alleys
Brenda
and
said
stuff.
Miss Brenda said she would take care of it.
Well, I can't say I'm gonna take care of it, I said I'll investigate it and.
But without proof that she paid the $50 for 8 taps, I can't just give her 8 taps.
what is the tap?
She don't want 8 taps.
What is the tap?
She wants 2 taps now.
Right, I gave her the 1, but she's
$12.50.
$12.50
So
is
we're talking
the
about
tap.
$1,250.
Well, you have to have sewer as well.
and that's $3,360. So what is he
But
doing?
we're working with her on the
She's
sewer.
got one back, and she said, Brian.
What is he doing- what is he doing for- He's
He's
still connected to her old house that she's got for sale. He's connected to that as
We
well.
did not buy the house, so it's still active.
And we were charging them double water, double sewer. Somehow they got stopped up and we found out that they were connected.
How are
Because
we,
she come in and told you.
No, this has been years ago that we found out that he was connected, we started charging her double. So, until just now.
How long ago did you find this out, do you know, do you?
About her dad being hooked up,
Uh-huh.
probably when I first started here, so they've been
And-
charged double usage all this time.
and that's because of the two places,
Because they were daughter and dad. and-
using the same one.
And like if we have a duplex, we charge them double for 1 year.
Now, tap fees at that time were a little bit less than what they are at this time. Like we consider something like that.
We can consider it. We just need a recommendation as to where we're gonna go with it. I was just trying to find out where the lines were and what it would
And
kind
then,
of
now
cost.
way back, and you may remember, they run the water lines, and it was a $50
It was a $50
deposit.
tap.
A lot of people with vacant lots paid the $50 to, in the future, get, and then she's had a house fire,
Yeah.
so she doesn't have any of her records. My records, I mean, like I said, I have my records, but that was from, 30 years ago, and I was still touring around in the hallways of this building, so
I'm
who's
not,
to say
I
that
didn't
didn't
hear
get
that one.
displaced? So that's the problem, I mean, she says she signed up for 8 of them, she has 8 lots. A lot of people did back in the day.
When could we find out if the line is feeding the two is large enough just to tie in there and set another meter right there next to the one?
The house is gonna be sold, so we
Right,
can't,
well.
if it's on the right of way, you're fine, but if it's off,
Right, well,
if it's on the property, you can't.
It's got to be on the city property or right away or something, have it or something.
The original meter is,
Yes,
and then it goes from the back of her house, from what I understand, back to his house, because his house is
Okay.
back behind there.
So do they want,
So we would have to put a meter, well, no, because it would be metered through the first house and
She
then
don't
metered
wanna
again.
pay the
So-
tax.
could you get
but do
above
they
the
want to
meter
put
though,
their own
and tie,
line
you
into
know,
to the
and
tap?
set another
She
meter?
said she would. She just
Is the
didn't
line,
say
well,
that
is the
thing.
line large
They'll put
enough
their
to
own
supply
line
two
into
houses?
the tap.
Okay, the discussion here is whether we're gonna forgive her the tap fee or not, says she'll put the line in.
From the house to the tap,
Yeah,
to
we
the
right
right
couldn't
way.
go on the private property.
So the discussion is whether we're gonna give it to her or not, on who say so, I mean, I don't know who did what.
I mean, like I told her, I have no doubt, her sister did our job back in the day.
Her niece.
Niece, when all this happened, so I really have no doubt that she probably said, hey, Rita, you got 8 lots, you need to pay this $50 to make sure you have taps for all of them. I really have no doubt. But without y'all saying it's okay, I don't have the piece of paper saying.
I make a motion to go with Gilbert.
That would be a sewer and water tap.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we were working on the sewer.
No, the sewer wasn't part of the grant, the water was part of the grant.
See, we're talking about years ago when we got a lot of these water grants, there was a $50 charge for a tap.
Right.
Yes.
She said she paid it.
Okay, so what we're talking here is the $50 grant money.
So are they, what about then the sewer tap?
Our house burned down.
The sewer tap,
Her dad's got sewer down there.
He's connected to her house.
he's
You know what the
connected.
sewer too?
So, I thought you were working out a payment schedule for the sewer.
We are.
Okay, so
Oh,
they're working out a
right,
payment
that's very
schedule for
good.
the sewer.
Sewer tap is.
So all we're talking about here is water.
Yeah, that's all she asked me about was the
So
water.
we have a motion for, to give her the water tap.
I'll make that motion to give her the water tap.
We have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Nobody's opposed, okay. Motion passed.
And this is for David, Mr. Davis?
And she's gonna run the line through the,
They'll have to.
Yeah, okay.
That's.
all right, now. You get everything?
The Cherville Beach, where they put the ribbons up to block people from driving down there. Did we ever figure out who, put that up for us all? Has it been
Is that city property, first of all?
It's city property and somebody,
FWC put that up.
Who did what?
FWC, but taking up the road on the beach, put the
Access
signs road.
The paved road
No, the dirt road that runs down to the end.
Behind you,
behind the dune.
behind you.
It's actually up front, up on the beach.
no,
That's-
it's
that's
not
the
on
old-
the beach.
Not on the beach, and then, I mean.
Well,
it's a little.
Yeah,
little-
that-
It's the old
Yeah,
fishing
one,
rod.
Right.
That's Watkins property, isn't it?
That's under, we got the lease from the state, so the city, is the manager of that property. We got assigned the lease from the state on that property, and what we've done is, pushed off enforcement, as far as keeping people off the beach or off areas that are supposed to be off of for FWC. So FWC, we were having all kinds of issues with the sheriff's department being responsive. City law enforcement, it's outside of our jurisdiction, although they have the mutual assistance agreement, all that. That was all getting jumbled. So we went to FWC and they agreed to do enforcement out on that, the beach, basically.
So in essence, they closed the
Sounds
old
like-
Fishman Road.
Sounds like it, it was over the, I remember getting a call about it over the last weekend, maybe the last holiday weekend.
But it's not the paved road there in front of those, in
No,
between
no,
those houses.
Yeah. It's the dirt road almost.
I was just wondering who put it up, I've had 100 phone calls.
FWC.
And so have y'all.
I've got pictures if
And
you
do-
need to see it.
But if that was originally, I've always heard it was an original road put there for the fishermen. when it
It's
was
not
opened.
it's not dunes or anything.
It would be
The
just-
people that owns the houses over there, they want their own private beach access, and they don't want nobody from Carabel using that road to go fishing on, that's the bottom line.
But there's,
That's
the
what
Watkins owns that point.
Huh?
Ben Watkins Estate owns that point, right?
Yeah.
Did they sell it?
It's part of the point is part of the lease,
The lease. The
The
state
upland.
owns it, we lease.
State owns it.
We manage the
city
lease.
lease.
The uplands are Watkins.
It's the uplands that are Watkins.
Why are we involved outside the city with a lease?
That's an excellent question.
Now,
I mean, thank you, and
We
thank
can-
you again for asking that.
we can have, I mean, this was a hot topic over the last 3-4 years of it is, in a nutshell, the ANRR was the old manager of that lease area. They were basically getting out of the business of it, asked the city if we would take it on. This is going back to like '09, I think. And the city determined at that time, yes, we will become the manager of that area, thinking it would be good for, again, tourism and development and enhance the beach area out there with walkovers and restrooms, parking, that sort of thing, as an amenity to the city. And then the Economic Times became what they were, and we were unable to really fund a lot of the improvements out there that were, thought that we would do. And so we are, on paper, we are the leaseholder on it.
How long is that lease for?
I think it's 10-year with renewals. It just renews and renews and renews. We had a long back and forth
Last
from the
summer.
commission last summer
And
about,
I wrote to DEP long letters trying to see if they would take the lease back from the city. I mean, I really worked on it last year with
Why didn't we just quit it?
I don't
that was
think
on
I-
the table. We had that and it was voted to not do that.
at this point. As long as it, and actually I went back and looked at the minutes and the notes from the December 4th meeting where we discussed it, and Commissioner Mathis even said, well, we'll continue to let the waterfront partnership manage it and work on this management plan that the state wants. And Mr. Mathis said that he would agree to that, excuse me, Commissioner Mathis, I'm sorry, as long as it didn't cost the city money. So I made a motion that they could continue trying to develop a management plan that the state wanted the city to do, and we couldn't do it. So Waterfront Partnership is still in the, I think they're gonna bring that up tonight, management plan. But, as long as it did not cost the city taxpayers money, as long as it did not make a burden on the taxpayers.
So we're dumping it over into their lap.
They won it, I mean, they were here time and time.
Okay.
We
I'm
won.
sorry, sorry, this is one other thing, Courtney, your point is, the lease wraps around the point into Post and Bayou, so a portion of it is in the city, a portion is in, we tried to give back the beach and keep the Post and Bayou portion. The state said, no. We had a lot of back and forth, we went to meetings, the DEP and all that on it. And
Okay.
the solution was, as long as it doesn't cost the city anything, Waterfront Partnership graciously stepped up to kind of take
Well,
on.
then we either gotta do something about opening it up or closing it. One of the two. I mean, the DEP's already closed it.
No, FWC,
Because they were
because I guess
forcing it.
somebody told them to.
Is the road we're talking
We didn't
about
know.
at the end
He
of the
said he-
pavement road?
Yeah,
We
in
didn't
front of
tell
2
them to
hours
close the road.
there,
Okay,
where it runs pavement to dirt and then sand.
on the old plat, I've been through this with the county commission for 20 years, and there's an old plat that had a platted road
If there was a platted road,
between the houses and the beach.
That's it, that's the one that
that's
goes
the one they're
down.
talking about.
Okay. Well, they had to do away with the plat, didn't the original plat?
They didn't do away with the plat.
Huh?
Plat's probably still available.
That's what I'm talking about. How can you close the road?
Because
It's
the
a
people
platted
that live
road.
there want it closed.
Well, they have to do something with the plat to change it, don't they? All the
Yeah.
time.
They do what they want.
Okay.
Legally, you had to do something.
Yeah.
But it ended up, last we discussed it, that the FWC was going to do the law enforcement basically out there unless it was an emergency. We did not mandate that the Carabel Police Department cover that, or that would be there in their jurisdiction.
And so we're the ones that closed.
The way I understand it from the staff and from this Commissioner Massey, that the FWC closed that road. Our police department had nothing to do with it, and the sheriff department as well.
And again, technically the road's in the county.
It's a county road, or drive, or everything is in the county, except some marsh area back here.
We spent years going back, dealing with it. Give you the rundown. I'll give you the rundown,
I don't know.
45 minutes.
So I can tell Charlie Thompson that it's closed and it ain't opening back up.
Well, if that's what FWC did, I would assume that would be
I'm
correct.
not blaming FWC, I'll tell him and he can go see FWC.
It
We
was,
had the lease, it's our fault because we allowed it to be done. That's the bottom line.
We gave it to them.
That's right. We didn't. I didn't.
Well, no, you
Somebody
are
else
part
did.
of it now.
Well, we did approve a motion to let the FWC manage
Approve
it.
that, and
Well, do we want to have the Carabel Police Department manage that out there?
I don't even think nothing needs to be managed out there as long as they ain't on the beach, and FWC's always patrol the beach part. That road, I don't see it hurting anything, people riding down that road. It's not a dune.
Well, then what we're looking
I don't want our
at
police department out there.
No, there's nothing for them to go out
is, but
there for.
if we turned it over,
Because FWC, they've always,
if we turned it over to them, then they ought to manage it, and whatever, how they manage it is the way it should go.
that's the way it's going.
They just made it easy on themselves, they just blocked the road.
yeah, but at one time, Ben Watson's owned all that. whole
At one
area.
time, it
And
did.
so how
He
can,
still does.
how can, no, he don't.
That is the state.
Well, he don't, it's in his estate.
But anyway, I don't see how they could justify blocking off someone's private property unless he said they could, and I don't think he's told them anything.
Well, he probably hasn't recently.
Okay,
Okay.
is there, do we do anything? Anybody want to do anything, or just let it ride?
Well, we're gonna be
Wait
talking,
on,
we'll be talking about it again shortly when, Ms. Tamara gives
okay,
her
we'll
report.
forward.
On the, they want to
All right.
do something, so.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, Commissioner Sutton, you have anything? Okay, I don't have anything either, so we'll move on to the staff reports.
And Irene's not here tonight.
Okay. Waterfront partnerships.
Speaking of
Hello, here we are. First I've given you all a copy of our report there. And the very first thing on our report is a report about the McKissick Beach management plan, which you all allowed us to have the opportunity to work on. Leslie and I have been working on it. We met with the DEP staff. DEP staff have a different opinion about what's a sand dune and what's a road and who's got jurisdiction over what. But so we have been working with the FWC, and one of the things that we were trying to get done was to get the dunes not to be continually wallowed out by all the four-wheel drive vehicles riding on them. And so we went to the FWC, asked them, showed them the maps, showed them the different things that we have, and they decided that they would in fact patrol the area, and that one of the best ways to take care of it was to put up the signs that are currently there. And I have immense numbers of photographs of them actually installing the signs where they are and putting up the yellow tape. And I was going to be proud to report that the vegetation on the sand dunes has actually started to regrow now that people aren't driving on it
Have
constantly.
you ever seen anybody driving on the dunes?
Yes,
Yourself?
not myself,
That's what I asked, yourself.
not myself, but
Yeah.
I
I've
have
been here
lots of.
45 years and ain't never seen a truck on them dunes. You used to live over there. They drive on that platted access road. That's what they drive on. They drive down there to where their boats come in, has for many, many years, probably before you ever even come here. And that's where they fish at.
Well, there are, I have photographs and lots of reports that I haven't personally been down that road. But I understand that there are places there where the sand is wallowed out from the trucks driving on it. And FWC has had to extract people from down there several times, most recently a couple of times. And so I was actually, doesn't sound like a really good time to give the other half of this report. But basically, we've been meeting with DEP, and we've been looking at trying to continue to write the management plan, which is required, as Mr. Hartman said. And we were trying to do it because I've written a lot of plans similar to that. I thought that I could be more helpful, but it is a highly technical, it's amazingly technical document to write. And so we were going to ask if it was possible that we had talked to the Appalachia Regional Planning Council about the prospect of maybe one of their staff who's about to retire, has some time right now, maybe he could help us. But I was going to bring up the possibility of requesting them to help us write the plan. I don't have a sense that this is the best time to ask that question myself, based on the conversation you just had. But we were looking at the possibility too of, if we were going to make a management plan, it's gonna say, because we're committed to this, and I think this is the way they all work, we recommend, you know, if the plan recommends that there be drainage and a parking lot and a simple drain there, that DEP is really pushing for example, the city has no money to do any of that. And so we had put the wording, as money becomes available. We had not anticipated a lot of improvements to the area, but just trying to establish some appropriate parking in that area, along with some kind of perhaps a rain garden or something simple to make a drainage. There, obviously, you've all seen it when you've had storms or a lot of rain, that there are a lot of issues with that. So we're just plodding along, trying to write this document, save the city money, and get it done, to get DEP off our backs. And I was just going to ask if there was any problem with us asking Keith McCarron to help us with it before he leaves. Now, my understanding from talking with him is that he can work on it for free, but if he has to travel, that he would need to be paid, the travel would need to be paid. Now, I know, Commissioner Paz, you're on the ARPC, and perhaps you know more about that than I do, but that was our idea, that perhaps he seems to be wrapping up a lot of projects that he's been working on as he's winding down for retirement, so.
Well, I understood from Ms. Cox, and then I see here that you were wanting to put in a Restore After Transocean grant request, and that was to cover the management plan, I guess, to cover the cost of Mr. McCarron or something. I don't know.
Well, actually, no, we were actually looking to cover the cost of the improvements.
Okay, the improvements. But I would suggest to this board that the first thing we need to decide, is this something that the city of Clarabelle really wants to pursue? First of all, we're going to have a small portion of the Transocean direct component settlement. Is going to be $3.5 million to Franklin County, and Clarabelle will get a very small portion. We all know $3.5 million doesn't go a long way on a project, any project, so we'll get a very small portion. Do we want to continue with this lease with the DEP, number one, and then do we want to allow our little small allotment, whatever that will be, out of the Transocean $3.5 million settlement, that portion, do we want to use that to improve state lands in the county? You know, I mean, we really need to do some serious consideration on this. I don't know if, now first of all, the county will have to do a multi-year plan, which they're right now in the process of contracting with a consultant to do the multi-year plan. Once that's done, we can, government agencies in the county and any individuals, nonprofits can submit applications. And so the Waterfront Partnership wants to submit an application to develop that property out there with, the way I understand it, stormwater management, dune walkovers, crossovers, it's plural, so I guess there would be at least two, and restrooms and parking lot. And I'm concerned for the future tax burden. Who's going to maintain these improvements, these facilities? Who's going to pay? If the restrooms will be hooked up to city water and sewer, so that's an additional burden on the ratepayers with all of the other burdens we have with landscaping and reuse water and the sewer line expansion. So it's just a real serious consideration. We're continuously fighting with our neighbors at McKissick Beach, which we really don't want to be in arguments with them. And we're continuously in arguments with people that have used that property for years, whether they live in the county or live in the city limits. And we really want to be friends with all of the people in the community. So here we are put in the position of negotiating problems on state lands in the county. That Gulf Beach Road is a county road.
Well, I don't think I mean, the way I look at it, we shouldn't even be out there.
That's right.
Mhm.
And that's what Commissioner LaPaz is saying. Do we want to take
So, I
that
mean,
little bit
that's-
of grant
that's-
money we're
I mean,
going to
I
get?
know that they've used it basically for years because of the Fisher Beach and all that. But as far as the city is concerned, and the city properties are concerned, we have no business with it. It's not even contiguous to the
Suggestion, Mr. Mayor. If we got a FWC management plan in the works,
Could you use the mic, please? We can't hear you. Thank you.
if we got a management plan in the works already with FWC, can we send them a letter requesting an easement road for the fishermen? An access road to get to the bay without driving over the sand and everything? They can put one little road in there and designate it for the fishermen to have access to the water.
Yeah, the road's already there.
You know,
The road's there.
I know, but it's got to be dedicated for that purpose.
I don't want to
Again,
use
I
grant
was
money to
in-
put bathrooms and all in there.
I was involved with the plan initially and met DEP on things before the city made the decision out there. Again, may spend any more money on it out there. I would think that that would have to be written into the plan as the use. It would be difficult. I could say DEP is not keen on that road being used, but that doesn't mean we are the leaseholder. DEP did not want to get that land back. That was one of their points. They'd rather have someone managing it other than them. So when this draft plan comes to the commission, if it gets to that point, we don't turn it back to them before then, but if the draft plan gets finished, submitted to the city, absolutely, it's up to you all, and you all can make changes to it and request that that be in there. How it will be received by DEP is anyone's guess, but absolutely it falls on the commission to make the final decision on exactly how the plan lays out, and the uses out there, and that sort of thing. One suggestion, if the concern is, again, the money, that is, although there's a lot of city residents use that beach, I mean, that was a consideration at the beginning when we took it on, because that's the beach that the city folks use, residents, is that it is in the county, and why wouldn't the Waterfront Partnership could go through the county and try to get, have them shave off a portion of their, whatever's going to the county. The concern is using the small portion of BP money that's coming to the city outside the city. Well, it is outside the city. Why wouldn't potentially the Waterfront Partnership could lobby the county to have them include that in the county's portion, not the city?
And I did think about that, and I wondered where is the proposed stormwater management? If that's going to be at the end of Gulf Beach Road, that is also dry, that's a county issue, because that would be closing a county road, and I just don't believe that we need to get all involved with this.
I agree with you on that.
I talked to, I think his name is Mr. Eric Larson. We communicated via email a good bit last year.
He's still working.
And I asked him, like you said, could we divide the property, manage the marshes that are in the city limits? No. I asked him, would the ANR please take that back and manage it like they did before 2009 or 8? Since they moved to East Point and they're closer? No. So I honestly, I'm telling you, I worked on it diligently last year to try to get something worked out. Last summer, this time, last summer.
Well,
You said that they had already put that in the plan?
No,
Beginning?
No, not
Sorry.
yet.
What I said is that the commission has the final say on the plan before it goes back to DEP, and the commission could direct that be put in the plan, that access.
Well, DEP don't want it back, leave it alone like it's been for the last million years.
they've got it blocked off.
Yeah. I know, just leave the road, leave everything alone.
And it's always up to the commission to decide, is the commission, and it's
I'm
Some of y'all were
with,
sitting
I'm
there,
with
we said,
Commissioner
look,
LaFaz, I don't think we need to spend our grant
the
money
city
out
doesn't
there.
have money to spend on it. So we backed off completely of spending any money. The Waterfront Partnership stepped up. The city has not spent time or money on that since, I think we made that decision.
In other words, we're gonna wait on the partnership to do something,
Well,
And they have been.
well,
something more.
I have to say, just from a point of view of hundreds of hours already spent on this already over the last 3 years, it would be a crime to continue and use our own resources and any other resources we get our hands on to write this plan and then have it, the decision ultimately be not to manage the Don't let us spend
That's what I said.
hundreds of more hours writing a plan on how you're gonna manage the property if in fact you plan on abandoning it.
We need
So-
to make a serious decision here. I said that would be the first decision, and the second decision would be, would we want to take the small portion of this first BP grant funding and put it in, under state lands in the county?
You're not gonna get that much in.
No, well, I believe the application is for less than 100,000 or less. So
It's a
all
small-
of these projects that they've mentioned won't be able to be done with that. Maybe the stormwater project, maybe not.
Just the parking and the stormwater really is all. Obviously, you all can't take a vote on this because it's not on your agenda, it's just in my report. Is that right? So do you, if you choose to put it on a future agenda for a decision on that, you know, I thought we'd kind of come up with a good solution to helping you get the plan written. It was gonna be very cost
They
effective.
did until the people from Carabel that's lived here all their life and fished down there all their life, go down there to go fishing, and there's,
Signs.
blockage up there, ain't signs, it's, you can't get by there, blockades.
Right.
Because somehow we're being viewed as, and we're managing that property. And it's costing us money
We're
right
getting
now,
hurt
right now.
thinking that we went and taped it up.
Yeah, they did.
Well, and Commissioner Putnam brings up the good point of if there is a use and an agreement, then the management plan could lay in some of these things. I mean, if we back away from this, FWC will simply keep doing what they're doing down there.
I know.
And so that won't solve the problem.
Yeah, but I was thinking while they're in the process of doing their.
Absolutely.
They-
No, if it's written into the plan, then everybody's on the same page, FWC, DEP, and the city. If the city steps away from this, then we're not gonna have a plan, and it'll revert to DEP, and they'll work with FWC as they already are, and do what they do, whatever that is. It may open it up if it looks like it's closing it off.
We all want to put this on the agenda
But
for
I
next
think
month.
if you let them know that that's one of the requests that we want in the beginning, while they doing their plan, maybe they can use this same road and upgrade it to where the truck won't be getting off in the sand dunes and everything. They'll just go right down this one road and park, fish, and then come back out that same road. It would save a lot of sand dunes and stuff, because I know some of them probably try to take shortcuts and, because it's all sandy. But if they upgraded this road, maybe with some line rock or something, it would be a better way to travel and keep from tearing your truck up as well as the sand dunes.
That's a good suggestion, but that would be costly. We don't, the city of
Yeah,
Carabel doesn't
yeah.
have the money.
If they're doing it themselves, is what I'm talking
If the FWC would
Right.
do, or the DEP, or the
about. I
state.
understand they have the say-so over the land, right?
Yes.
Well, if they have the say-so, they're going to spend the money. I mean, if we ain't got no say-so, how we gonna spend the money?
Well, since we manage it, actually, we're viewed as having a say, so is that right?
We come up with a management plan, which has a bunch of uses and we talk about new walkovers, it could include parking areas, access roads, the whole 9 yards. We can put that in the plan. The plan needs to get approved by DEP, but that can be a negotiation. And once it's approved, then that's the plan, and we are the manager of it. So we're charged with then implementing the plan. If,
As money becomes available.
as money becomes available.
As it says 16 times, yes.
The commission was real clear at our last meeting when again, the sentiment, I think, before the last meeting was to give it back. The commission decided not to give it back, but instead not to spend any citizen money on it because we didn't have money to spend on it. If we give the lease back, then our influence over that area basically goes away. So we won't have an ability to control or even ask, we could ask for always, but to create any access roads, parking areas, or anything else, even if it was with county money, meaning BP county money. I mean, I understand absolutely that, I mean, that would seem, and we can always put more restrictions on, but the commission was clear, they said no more city money. Well, BP city money, same thing, we're not spending
Don't you
that.
think the county is gonna put the money where they feel the priority needs to be put?
They will,
That
we
means
butted heads
that
with the county
area's
on
not
the
gonna get
BP
any
issue
money.
a
I mean,
bit already. Yep.
So when we start letting the state and the government take over this town, that's just what, you ain't gonna need none of us.
Mr. Putnam said that
That's
there was
what's
a
wrong with the
plotted
country
road.
now.
There was a plat that showed a road, yes, at one time. I don't
It
know.
is, and it's still in use. Let the county.
Gene Langston may have a copy of that, I don't know.
You know, one of the fears that I see, and I've had for years, and I've tried to do something about it, is access to water for local people as well as tourists. We're losing access to the water. We had some places down here to the east where we go fishing. It's easy to get to. On St. Joe or Lida said, no, we couldn't stop this. So they stopped every little road going to the bay. And the FWC was patrolling it, and they would run the people off. Well, if you keep doing that, pretty soon you won't have access to the water anywhere. And that's a fear that I have.
That's what they're trying to do over there.
I know people who've been here all their life, and they're losing access little by little to get to the water.
What we need to do here is make a decision either to support it, let Tamara go ahead and continue to work on her plan.
I think that the decision point that we're at right now has to do with using the resources of the ARPC to help us complete this plan. And I haven't got I don't have an amount of money that it might cost us. He said it would be, his time would be free, but it might be some cost involved, minor cost involved. So I can come back next month with more specific information. I wasn't gonna talk to ARPC about using their resources, until I talked to you all. That was the point of, we actually thought we'd gotten a couple of good things accomplished, and we had somebody, the guy at DEP was actually really helping us, and then he got up and said global warming in front of the governor and actually got fired before he could finish helping us. So this has been I will say, the project from hell. But anyway, that poor guy's out of a job, so, at least you're still here.
Do we need to put this on the agenda item for next month? Yeah, and I would say it's gonna take longer than 5-minute discussion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Y'all do some soul searching and decide if you want to continue with it in the first place before they continue on with their
Well, I think everybody's in agreement that we need to try to do something. And that means we can continue trying to get somebody to help us.
Do we want to spend this kind of money? So, do we want to spend our grant money on it?
we're probably not gonna spend grant money.
You could just spend,
You
we
spend
could
that
just,
tax money.
What I'm saying is you gotta have a plan, either, if you don't have a plan, we might as well kick it out right here.
Well, if they gotta go to the bathroom at the beach, go to the state park down the road.
It's less than a quarter of a
So
mile.
less than a quarter of a mile
I'm
to
not
use
worried
the
about the
bathroom.
bathrooms, we need to make a decision as to which way we wanna go. We wanna keep it, go with it, try to do something or not. And I mean, that's, in my opinion,
Well, we
cut this
don't.
thing short and do one or the other.
We dumped it on Miss Cameron, I think we should give her a shot at it anyway.
So I would suggest and put it on the agenda and have her come back next month
okay.
after talking with AARP and
I'll give you some specifics and
See where we
costs
go.
and stuff. And them too. Okay, let me just, that was like the first item in my report. Let me tell you a couple other cheerful things. We
we don't want any.
We told you all we had the derelict boat in the middle of the river that the CRA couldn't work on, so we wrote, an application for $500 to the TDC to try to remove the unsightly boat that's out there, and, they, did not fund it, so we're, but we do appreciate the city's willingness to help us with that, should we have gotten that to happen. And I want to let you know, please, this is the 8th year that we've coordinated the International Coastal Cleanup here in Carabel and at the beach and in town. And we have removed tons and tons and tons of stuff from the Carabel River and the land here in the watershed. So we're scheduled this year for September 19th. In the morning of that day. So please mark your calendars and come join us. We're very excited to announce that the Carabel History Museum is planning part 2 of our lecture series for this year. We've finalized the speakers. We had one earlier, you may remember, in March about the pre-Columbian, prehistoric Indians that used to live here. And this one is about the mission period, where about the time that the Spanish came to this area and the Indians were still here. So we're going to cover 200 years in 3 hours. And that's going to be in September as well, on the 12th. And then probably the best good news is that the renovations to Old City Hall that have been so hard to get them done this year, were finished today. The guy came and took the paint spatters off the screens. So we are pleased that we'll have a final official inspection next week. And then we're gonna have a little ribbon cutting for it.
And it's beautiful, I went by there yesterday, it is just beautiful paint job. And I like the color paint.
It's grown on me a lot. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but if you haven't gone by and seen it, please look at it. But the best part is there will be no more water pouring through the walls, pulling the plaster out on the inside. That's all been repaired and repainted, as well as we have new gutters, and it does look really nice. And it's hasn't cost the city too much money, just a little bit. And that was really I thought I had lots of good news tonight, but apparently that was really the only really good news, and I'm thrilled it's done, and we'll get that piece, we'll come back next month and bring you the information that we can collect by then about the resources that we need to do the McKissick Beach Plan, or not.
Let me ask you about that beach plan. Is that set up for tourists to go down that road?
Nobody.
Always before, we just let seine fishermen, all that sort of stuff down in that road. Do we allow tourism to go down that road?
We can't pick and choose who goes down the road. It's
Well,
on the
as an
road.
example, we have parking for commercial fishing down here in
That's
Texas.
right.
Is there some way that we could work something like that in there?
That's what I was talking about, what we do. An access road with parking it in. That way it wouldn't be out on the sand.
Okay.
Well,
Just an idea.
those are all excellent ideas and.
I mean, if anybody wants to go down the road, go down the road. I mean, it's a road.
Yeah, but
It was just an idea. Okay, let's move on
and
and,
down there, we're not on the road.
I think,
I'm trying to get everybody to calm down. All right,
I think, excuse me,
go ahead, come on.
thank you. I think part of the problem
Give your
is,
name, please.
oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Sue Reed, okay, and I'm not a city, I do live out at the beach. I think some of the confusion is the road you're talking about is on state deeded property. It doesn't belong on a plat or anything else, and that's the difference from a few years ago. The state actually owns that piece of property where that road is. Am I not correct? Okay. Yeah,
We
they-
know the state owns the road.
okay, so it would be a state road, not a county, and not a city road. It would be a state road. Something else to look into.
Well,
And he wanted-
technically, it's not a road.
I know,
But
I know.
it's
But-
state
but
road,
the ones
it's
that-
state-owned land.
Yeah.
That we got a lease on.
There you go.
Yeah, we know
Yeah.
what that is.
But it's not a platted road, okay, because the state deed, you know,
Actually, I think it is a road.
no, their deed comes all the way up. And
Whichever
it's a,
one, I don't care what it is.
yeah, and that
It's a
gets
road.
confusing. Somebody's been driving on it. I think,
They should be driving on, I've driven on it 44 years.
no,
But it's their property, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
the people that lives over there wants it to be their private property. Most of them, maybe not you, Miss C, but most of them do. You know that.
We understand. He wanted to say something too. No, he's changed his mind.
Of course, he's not going to hold me without saying something.
Okay. Are you
I'm
finished?
finished, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think more than I bargained for.
All right, David?
It's nice that we only had one item on the agenda. We added the second, which was all this coming up. From the EDC, we hadn't held a meeting in a long time, so this was getting back into covering and catching up. Commercial dockage is still the number one thing on our old business. In researching the Sonala Docks, the old Tom Crum Fish House, I believe I found where it had been purchased by somebody else, and it's on the tax rolls for like one part of it's for $62,000, one part for $64,000.
So somebody bought it from him?
Well, I don't have the documents here with me. My understanding was it's not in Dr. Sonala's hands now. But I think it would probably be a reasonable person with all the flood restrictions and stuff going. Nothing can go back in that property but docks. There's not enough land there to meet any building code, and if you did, it'd have to be up in the air. But it's ideal for docks, and we don't have any commercial dockage because when we built the Marine Street, we took lands from internal trust, which prevents any commercial use. So I will attempt to work on that to find out who it is that has it, and if Sonala has it, we still need to be talking to him, because now's the time to do it. Things are, as your attorney's been telling you, is things are gonna turn around at some point, and everything's gonna start going up, so if you're gonna do something, now might be the time to do it.
Maybe we can find out before the next CRA meeting.
That would be up, if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'll let you
I
know.
mean, that's the appraised value that you're
Exactly.
talking about, so.
Yeah.
We know.
The assessed value.
Uh-huh, yeah.
But that assessment should give an owner an indication of it, that what's there is not.
But, you know, we're looking at another property down the way there on Green Street that's assessed at $30,000, and we know what they want for it.
Yeah, we got some things being taxed too much and some not being.
And then do
That's
you
not-
have a suggestion on then how, if there were commercial docks, how that would be managed?
That would be determined. I would think the CRA's mission would be is to take a blighted area, turn it into something that works for the city and the downtown area, and rid themselves of it and tax it at a higher rate to keep the CRA rolling. Does that sound good?
So develop it and then try to sell it.
Develop it such that we have shrimp boats on our river, okay? They can go unload it, they can go get ice at sea quarters or over at Pirates, they can go dock there. walk across the street, have some drink at Harry's like we always did, and then they would be there. We'd eat in a restaurant, you got a shrimp boat in the river, and maybe another shrimp boat tied next to it, and it looked like Carroll used to be. But if you don't have one commercial dock, you can't add things together. Somebody that has a full load of shrimp, they probably motor straight on over to Appalachia, waits 20 miles motoring over there to unload, or to St. Joe.
And do you know about the docks there, or the mayor may know, are they hazardous, that creosote, would that have to be removed, or would we
I
have
don't know
to
if we
have
have to.
a abatement on that?
If you ever pull it, you're not gonna replace it.
Right.
There's actually a state program to replace creosote docks.
Right. But I don't, they allow you to pull up, they're used to allow you to pull the creosote down nuts, turn it over and drive it back down, because that's deteriorating. But I don't know what they do now. It's been years since we go through that. But you wouldn't want creosote in it, not really.
Well, we'll leave what would happen down the road if this and if that happened. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But kind of like Ms. Towner said about working on plans and hours. If the commission's not interested in commercial dockage, you let me know now. So I'm the chairman of the working waterfronts part of the Waterfronts Partnership. And when we had our feedback session with members of the public, the number one thing that they wanted priority was commercial dockage.
Does anyone ever give a suggestion on how it would be managed?
Yes, there were suggestions on how it could be managed.
Who would manage it?
The city could hire someone to manage it, or they could get a firm, just as a while, Sea Quarters staff could manage it, or one of the retail companies here in town that do seafood related things could manage it. An individual could be contracted with to do it. We actually,
Maybe one of the marinas in town.
that's what I was saying.
I think it's a good idea. I just worry about who is going to manage it.
Let's just end it with the city's not going to run it. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, you're asking the right questions from taxing and expense. Just understand that the CRA, as you know better than I, takes blighted stuff, they fix it up, but they don't intend to keep it.
That's
Okay.
correct.
We would like to do that, and I think the community would like to do that on that commercial docket. The alternative is they'll tear it all down and we will have more public access and it'll just be a drop off.
And then what happens when that brick building comes down? Will there be
We're never gonna get through this meeting if we keep asking questions.
a big
I need to go sit on that side of the table now.
You know what? I grew up here all my whole life, and I think it would be a crying shame to not have a commercial dock in Carabel, Florida.
It would be.
I'm with you.
I second that.
I mean, it's nice to know that we have an ice place there at Sea Quarters, and they have the tubes where they can run it out on boats. I mean, that's a great start. It'd be nice to have one that blow in the whole ships, but they don't use that much anymore. They have freezer systems on their boats.
A lot of.
But for a base shrimper,
Let's put it this way, David, I think we're all in favor of commercial docks.
Gotcha. The, also, something that's changed here recently in our workforce is that we now have capped out the available affordable housing, the moderate income housing for folks. There's people that are knocking on doors and talking to the realty companies, and I had a sign up for commercial property, and I get a call every other day, somebody won't know if I'd rent it for them to live in it, and I said, it's commercial, it's not. So if we're gonna have economic development, we need to have housing for people. So I would ask of the public, anybody you know that is in the business of taking property and fixing it up so it can be rented. There are buildings that are sitting around, maybe blighted, that there are people that are willing to pay some rent and need a place to stay. I asked them where they're coming from, and over half of the people are coming here because they have a relative that's here. I asked them, are they coming here to work, and I don't get a warm fuzzy on them coming here to work, but they want to come down here, but they don't want to stay with the family living place their own.
And there's plenty of jobs here.
If you go to work in certain areas, you're correct. The third thing, it's probably just on a humorous note, that the Florida Economic Development Conference is the 15th, the 13th through the 15th of July. And if we send somebody, we need about $500 for lodging and travel. If you wanted somebody from the EDC to attend, I'll take that as a note. The CRA, we had the workshop on Tuesday. You have a meeting the third Tuesday. Can we get a CRA report at the commission meeting because of the people that attend here that don't go to the CRA meetings, so a synopsis of, you know, we got 6 facade grants that are going through. I don't know. It'd be nice to have that made available at this meeting for the public that doesn't attend the other one. I mean, if you let me come here about the economic development, we really
You want
don't
a
have
report from the CRA at the commission meeting?
either a written summary or just have somebody highlight that these were the decisions made and we're on track and we're doing great things for the city.
They're all on YouTube.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is on YouTube as well.
I keep a running list of all the projects and the progress on them. I do that, and I could continue that. I don't know though about, you know, reading that out. It could be something that could be passed out. We have a lot of ongoing projects that might take too much time, you know,
If you put it on your,
Just request it. That's all. The restore money, the restore money you're talking about, we probably won't get much of. The county's got it. They're going. The top priorities, I would think, would have to do with clean water. I understand restoration and other stuff. But if there's something that we can do in our river, because we have a live river, we have something that most people don't have. And that's a very low pollution of a river, because it doesn't go very far up where people mess it up. But stuff can come back inside it. We have one marina, the moorings, that was designated a clean marina, and there's a certain standard you have to meet. If we could have all of our marinas designated as clean marinas, and if somehow this grant money could help us do that, that would help, I think, from economically, from EDC and tourism, the fact that we have, you know, all of it.
and this
Yeah,
board
but
does need
maybe there's two of
to think about what we would want to submit for funding for that transocean, our little portion of whatever it may be. Some infrastructure project, stormwater management project, something.
If we had a big storm come in with enough wind that would blow water back up in your river, is there such a thing that could somehow force the top surface water back against wind that would keep contaminants from coming up your river? I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but something of that nature would find out what it is that you want to protect and see if you can use money to protect it. That's all I'm saying. Something other than the sand. Back onto the touchy one we spent enough time talking about here, but on the DEP management plan. We had already talked, we'd asked the attorney to talk to the county attorney and have it stop when the marshes end at the old beach, and then let the county take it from there all the way around to their, you know, the county park. And the county said
They weren't interested.
they were not interested. And it's their county stuff. And we are not going to spend any money on it. So my understanding is whoever contacted them, DEP has declared those dunes to include any road that Christians have been using as sensitive dunes. And under their statute, you cannot drive on sensitive dunes. So whatever you put on the agenda to talk next month, you need to get the clarification of what they've classified it as and what it will take to undo it. But I can tell you, when governmental entities make a decision to do something, it's very difficult to get them to back up on themselves.
Well, good, they have it back.
And
Well, no, it's not that having it back. They own it.
we asked them,
Well,
we
they
asked
don't want it.
one of those
That's the plan.
representatives to come here to a meeting last year. I did,
Yes, we did.
to come to an August meeting, and no, they would not come, no one would come.
And I also made the recommendation during that discussion that they want us to submit a plan. And, you know, like the money, we said we just don't put it in the plan, submit it. All they can do is accept it or reject it. And I said, just stop it right there. Just submit and say our management plan is going to cover this portion. what are they gonna do? Or just like you said, why don't you just cancel them? What are they gonna do to you? But I do think we need to protect Post and Bayou in the marshes. I mean, that is attached to the city. And I think they would rather have at least most of the sensitive area covered than not having any of it covered.
So you're suggesting, do the management plan possibly in phases and cover the Post and Bayou, the eastern part of it, that's in the city limits?
Do we have a plan accepted by DEP right now?
No.
Then one of the items I would request you put into the consideration next month would be is to stop it at the end of the old beach point, where the marshes end. There's not really marsh coming around the point where the fishermen are and where the beach is.
Obviously, this will be on the agenda next month, we'll talk about it.
Right.
That was proposed before they turned it down, so, but.
But a position would be that the city could submit that as our plan that we're willing to accept, and they can either turn it down and we walk away, or we can, or y'all can have a B and a C plan. But I think that should be one we consider. Take care of what's attached to our city, because there ain't much maintenance on marshes. You just don't go there. Or you build a dock high enough to go over it so you don't damage it. And that's pretty easy. And we do the coastal cleanup to keep it cleaned up. And my last item, it may touch on people otherwise, but property rights. We keep talking about property rights. You know, access to the water. And somebody's stopping us doing this and doing that. On one hand, we in this community believe in property rights. You know, we have a yard and we don't have to clean it up. You know, it's my yard, I can do in my yard what I want. But yet when somebody else owns property and they don't want somebody to walk across it, we have a problem with it. That's about as blunt as I can say it. If you're gonna have property rights, everybody's got property rights. For whatever use. Any questions?
Thank you, Dave. The attorney's report?
Nothing.
Not a question?
After all, nothing.
No.
No report.
Fourth of July weekend.
Good. Okay. Discussion, under new business, discussion and possible action regarding the gym request by Sonny Schultz Dunaway. Schultz Dunaway, okay.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for having me, especially Commissioner Massey, who personally invited me to speak today. What my partner here, Casey, is giving you is just a brief rundown of kind of what I'm about to tell you. We had a lot of talk earlier that's probably much bigger than this on some minds, but on your younger minds, this is very important. I'm used to talking to kids. I work at the school, substitute teaching, and I'm also on the coaching staff for the varsity Seahawk cheerleaders. So I'm very involved in the school. I know the kids in Franklin County, and I'm especially close with the kids here in Carabel because this is my hometown. I've lived here since 2002. I have 3 children myself, all teenage years and older. Married to Captain Joseph Dunaway. And so I'm invested in this little town, and I'm incredibly bored, I'm just going to say. The kids here are very bored. That's putting it bluntly. I want you guys to take down a couple years, not too many, but go down to when you were kids and when you were teenagers. I know of a place. It's the kind of place where smiles, laughter, and love meet. A play kind of place where shoes get scuffed and where bruises show up on dirty legs and bony arms. Nobody sees the roof that leaks or the floor that crumbles. It is a sight for the sorest of eyes with the openness of hearts. I know of a place. It's the kind of place where troubles are forgotten and dreams begin. It's the place where voices of adults are drowned out by the beautiful slams of basketballs back and forth on a court and blasted music from the benches. I know of a place It's the kind of place to be yourself and to be lifted up. I know this place to be a place of encouragement long after failures have come and gone. This is the place where the wronged are made right by sometimes given second chances to belong and an opportunity to just take a moment to breathe. I know a place. It's the kind of place where the earning of a soda and a candy gives more empowerment than a cavity. It is the place where secrets are told, creating bonds lasting forever. I know of a place. It's a place where tears sometimes fall and someone is always available to catch them. I know this place to be where spirits are raised and not of hands. I know of a place. It's the kind of place that colors outside the lines and boldly blends them together. It's a place where sunshine blares through cracked glass, giving children well-deserved spotlights. I know of a place. It's a place of rhyme and reason. It is a place with forgiveness and an open heart. It is a place called The Rec. Reaching every kid in play, friendship, leadership, and purpose. The Rec is an acronym that I basically came up with this because I used to work at a place called The Cut over in Apalachicola. The Cut stood for Kids United Together. Caravels could be reaching every kid. The gym that's over there is a mirror image of the one in Apalachicola that I used to work at, and my friend Casey Wallace also used to work at. I don't know if a lot of you know about this, but it has basically been completely renovated. We spent almost a year renovating it, along with a private party. It was privately funded to get it going, but it's also been written into other grants to help sustain it. There's a lot of logistics involved. This is not a small pipe dream. I mean, we have the same thing. That's over in Appalachian. I would love to see it here. I've been approached by countless parents. Miss Sunny, that's what they call me. When are you going to come to Carabel and do it? Well, we're here. We want to see that place look the way that it did when Carabel High School was playing basketball in there. As of right now, it's in very, very bad shape. The photos that you see in these folders are actually photos that I personally took during my journey over at the Cut in Appalach, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. When I say a mirror image, when you walk in, I mean, I felt like I was going, into the same gym. It is flip-flopped, where the concessions are on one side and the bathrooms are on another. I mean, it's kind of the opposite, but it's the same building. And the construction, while it looks really, really bad, and it is bad, the bones are good because we saw it happen. Everything that we did, we tried to preserve. What we could not preserve, we tried to clean up, tried to get working again. The private party that helped fund, oversaw the project, helped manage the project, got grant money going in there, also private donors. I just don't see where we can't do the same thing. How are we going to do it? Utilizing the existing structure of the old high school, like the Appalach location. And I encourage all of you to go visit. It's open usually all the time because Project Impact goes to that gym for some of their programs, which they've been able to write in to all that. Like we have the Nest, they have Project Impact. And the way that they're able to write it in, they've added to some of that funding. And everybody's got their little responsibilities in places, and I'm not a lawyer, I don't know the logistics of all this, but I know that it can be done because we saw it happening, and it can be done. We have a lot of volunteers that have approached me over the years, and most recently, since talking to Ms. Massey, that are gung-ho. And of course, you hear that all the time, but I can guarantee you, when it comes to these kids having something to do in this town, they're going to get behind it. The key to keep it sustained is to have a small staff. For a long time, it was just Casey and I. We had some volunteers from, the school. A lot of the seniors all have to have a certain amount of volunteers hours to graduate that ran the concessions, and then there was an income there. Now granted, we kept the concessions pretty low so that the kids could all afford it, but it did help sustain that. What happened with us is we basically left because the agenda was not what we had originally anticipated. It's now a private situation over there. Even though it is a city building, the city does own the building. It's managed by a private party. I believe ours should be run by our city, and that will keep the longevity of that building going. There's plenty of things that you can do to sustain the income coming through there. A lot of community centers in the surrounding areas, Tallahassee, some of the bigger cities, do small fees for, just like Franklin County Parks and Recreation. You pay a certain amount of money to play softball. You could pay a certain amount of money to play volleyball on a league or basketball on a league. And those are programs that I know that Parks and Recreation have explored before, but we just don't have the venue. I don't know if we should be talking to them. I know that they are running actual leagues over in Appalachia, and those kids are thrilled over there that they've got something nice to go to. I know that when Casey and I were working there, it wasn't on the record, but we talked to several police officers over in that area, and anytime that community center was open and those kids were there, it was like a big sigh of relief. We know where they all are. They're busy, they're playing, they're in good hands. We've got kids either just stuck at home with nothing to do, or they are out causing, all kinds of havoc at all hours of the night, in some areas here. I think that if we had a building and we had the venue, it would run itself, properly managed. Some of the pictures that you have back there are pictures of things that are actually going on in that building. I met with her. It's probably in the same shape as the other building was when we first started. I will tell you that there's black mold in that building that kids should not be playing in, and kids do play in that building. I'm not tattletaling on any of the kids, but plenty of kids get in there at all hours.
First of all, are you asking us to commit to something here?
No, she's bringing a presentation of what they did with their gym and athletic.
But you're interested in doing the same thing here?
Yes.
We're interested in doing the exact same thing.
What building were you talking about having the black mold?
About the gym.
This one does.
The gym.
And of course, you know, you have a roof that's going to need replaced. There's all kinds of
It probably has
issues.
mold, lead, and asbestos.
Yes, it does.
Needs abatement for all that.
Yes, it does.
And this roof right here that's being used by City Hall and the Nest and the Camp Gordon Johnston Museum needs a roof badly.
Mhm.
It's being, and that, the roof on this building would have to be replaced before we could go to another building and start improving. And we had bids on this building, of course, it's much larger than the gym, ranging from 400, 500, and 700. So we just guesstimate 500,000 for the roof and 300,000 to replace the air conditioning system that's on its last leg here. So those items in this building would have to be done before we could reach out. Now, I want to say, a youth center or something for the youngsters to do is badly needed in this community. And all the mothers request it. But I feel it's a big project to ask the city taxpayers who are poor to support that. And
I agree.
That's where the money would come from.
That's not where all the money would come from, because that's not where the money's coming from over there.
Actually, maybe you should bring us a business plan, how they did it in
I
Alabama.
would love to do that. I do not have access to all of those records. I am sure that any one of you could call up, they have an amazing mayor who, you know, I call him my friend, would love to, you know, sit down and talk to you. He's all about spreading, you know, the good this way too.
There's another building in town here, behind where Mike Marshall used to be. It's a big metal building. It's in excellent condition. It would not have to have a lot of money put into it. Like this one, it could probably be purchased for less than trying to repair this building after all the abatement was done.
Well, we were hoping that some of the existing programs and resources that we have here in the city, I've actually talked to Commissioner Massey about, we could utilize some of our already resources to repair a lot of that building.
And what resources are those?
She was talking about the Nest. They'll usually, that's how they done the one in Appalachia. They used a lot of money for the project and they wrote it into their budget. And that's what she was talking about, using the Nest to write.
It's something that we need to maybe explore. I mean, it's not going to happen today, obviously.
What was the, what condition was that gym in Appalachia?
The same. I walked through there with her, the same. Actually, a little bit better, only because over the past couple of years, kids were playing in it and we were working in it. And I mean, you know, it was still a mess, but we still worked in it and we still, you know.
Who did all the grant writing over there?
There are grant writers for the Project Impact, and the private party that now manages it is, I'm assuming, writing some grants and getting
We don't.
private money too, fundraising.
And staff in Appalachia, we don't, we run on a skeleton crew here. This is a poor community and
Right.
a poor city compared to Appalachia.
I have actually been approached by a couple grant writers. I'm a writer myself. Have I ever written a grant? No, I have not. I have looked into writing grants. I'm not opposed to exploring that.
It would be a good thing. And then in Apalachicola, who pays their staff and who pays the?
That's a good question. Again, a lot of it is from when we left. I can say that a lot of it was privately funded. A lot of it was. I know that they were working very hard, and you'll have to check check with them, and maybe we can have a sit down with them.
I would suggest you do all of that. You brought it to us. All of us have, we've got plenty of things on our plate, and this is a project that you proposed, and, I'm open to it, or maybe, even.
It's a lot more involved than an hour meeting, obviously, so I tried to keep it brief on just bringing up the idea that so many kids and families have come to me to bring to you.
You're interested, this is your
Oh,
key
yeah, I've
items.
already, yeah.
And possibly you could contact the
Okay,
Appalachian, see how they pay their staff, where their funding comes from.
It's running like a fine-oiled machine over there. They've got a great staff, and from what I understand from the kids, they're very happy with the building. They're happy with the programs.
Well, I'm sure about that, we're just worried about the
We
funding.
need to wrap this up here, because we just keep going around and round. So we need to, whatever, have her come back at a later date,
Yeah,
focus in
we'll
on
get some
some
more,
of the
we'll
stuff,
do some more research this month.
and research all of this stuff. Because we want here to just discussing nothing, moving around and around.
Well, I appreciate your time.
I'm in my second
Do y'all
child.
want
I'm gonna go play some too.
Linda, Mayor, do y'all want to authorize her to look for grants on our behalf? Because that would be.
Well, are we that far
Or
along?
to approach people for our building, our benefit.
Now, we need to keep something in mind is that we're considering looking at relocating City Hall to cut down expenses so that we can balance our budget. We're over budget. So I don't know how that would have to be, it would almost have to be if it's its own business. I just don't know if the city can open another, open a business, I just don't.
See, I think the same thing, because you got here, keep it in city management and operation. I mean, you do that, employees, and so we're just adding more, so I'm not so
The
sure.
last time the city had a community center, it was city funded, the city run. Y'all would remember, but Mr. Bevan and y'all should know when we had the skate ring and game room down there, the city owned it, the city paid for it to be run.
We got a lot.
And it was a lot more
We
than
leased it
we
for
are now.
$1 a year.
And the building itself,
Up until it's condemned.
the way it has operated over there, it's not open all the time. And so those employees aren't paid from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. It's their existing programs that use it during the day, and those staffers that are already employed use it.
And there's
And
no
they're-
balance.
And they use it during the day, and then the nighttime is when we really need something going on here, and we were,
Well, we can explore all that, I mean, if you're gonna come back, we're gonna look at it and see what.
Now, our cash reserves is about 1 million now, 1.2 million, and that we need to keep in the event of emergencies. I'm just trying to figure out where the money would come from
Well,
to do this.
it's gonna have to come from right.
And at one point, we had, someone else looked at the gym a few years ago, and Mr. Hartman drew up a lease, a commercial style lease, so there would have to be a lease, and insurances would have to be provided, liability insurance and all of this. It's a little bit.
I
more
will tell you,
complicated.
I don't know the legalities of all that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a youth leader. I work in the community with the kids, and I'm just telling you that we have the same beautiful shell there that, it's a shame that it's been let go the way it has.
But a lot of people over there want it.
You're not the first one that wants to use that.
All this, wrap it up,
Okay.
You can tell them right.
and going back.
But they don't have kids.
I know.
We thank you for your presentation. Okay. Approval of the attorney bills.
I make a motion. I beg your pardon. Sorry.
This item is just in front of y'all for just really review and just kind of to refresh everybody's memory on this project. It has been through P&Z and the commission already on site plan approval. There's one of the pieces of paper y'all have has the details of the site as far as the number of units, road widths, that sort of thing. on it. And what it basically is, and the engineer, Mr. Worrell's here to answer any questions, but this will come back before the commission at the August meeting for preliminary plat approval. And the drawings, the sets of drawings that you have are the plans. Innovia is reviewing them for compliance with city development standards. And because we had two new commissioners here that were not here during the initial review of this, wanted to get this in front of y'all so that everybody can get refreshed on the project. It would be one of the first that we've had in many, many, many years.
Help me remember one item, Mr. Mayor, if I may ask the attorney. Lift station capacity.
Right, and certainly engineers here to answer questions too. My recollection on that is that on this one, that they had a certain number of taps that had already been paid for, and that they were short, I don't want to give a specific number, I think it was about 19, and that they would have to make arrangements to purchase those from other users that were not
That's
using.
right. I remember now.
That's correct. My name is Eric Worrell. I'm actually the design engineer for Alden Howell Engineering on this project. I'm just here to answer any questions for you about.
And what about then the other taps, or the 19 taps that you're short for capacity?
It actually wasn't 19, I think it was only 10 taps, and they're going to purchase the taps from other locations, which they might have they already purchased those taps yet? No, they haven't, okay.
Do they have they made negotiations or?
They wouldn't have come through us anyway. 'Cause
But anyway.
we won't be selling, we don't have capacity. They have to buy them from other developers that are.
Someone who wants to give up their.
Right.
So
Reserve capacity.
they would not be able to put a house there anywhere until there was a tap for that lot.
Correct.
That location.
There's now a proposed 45 lots, and there was 36 lots.
It went up from last time you were here?
No. The existing Pickett's Landing is townhomes, which are multifamily units. Some of them range anywhere from 5 to 7 units per building. And there was 36, and then they have bought an additional, I think, 2.86 acres, and are adding some lots and getting rid of some of the multi-unit buildings and making it single-family residential lots. And so
What size are those lots?
those lots are, they range, it depends, some of them are pie-shaped and some of them are rectangular.
Yeah, just average.
I think they're around 5,000 square feet, and I thought that I might have some of them. Yeah, I don't have the square footages
Are you
here.
talking about the private lots being those tall skinny?
Yes, sir. They'd be, right, yeah, but the way the lots are developed, they're long, so they can be built, forward or
I
backwards.
would just, a high rise, really.
They are gonna have to be off the ground, but, they're essentially, the building footprint would essentially be what the existing units are that are on the development right now.
I had mine at home, I didn't know you were gonna be here tonight. But I studied it hard last time, I just can't remember.
I have no say. It'll come up next month.
Yeah,
This thing.
is he asking for approval?
No.
No, nothing tonight, just to get everybody back up to speed on the project.
Is this between the buildings that they're now and the one in the middle?
It's actually, they purchased a portion of Long Point subdivision or development, or PUD is what it was, and they're just expanding towards towards the west, which is out on the point, correct, kind of away from the city.
Okay. That's at the base of the bridge, you know where it is, over there, Pickett.
Yeah, I've been looking at it, but I couldn't figure where they even put these lots
And that's all, right?
to the west.
Yeah, it's been,
We're gonna
well,
put this on next month's agenda, ain't that's what we're here for?
Correct.
yeah, so.
Well, let's do that, so we can go.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all, we just wanted to, bring it up, and let y'all know we'll be coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Be reviewing it.
Remind me.
I make a motion for the attorney bill.
I'll, wait.
Thank you.
Hey, man. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I make a motion to dismiss.
I'll second.
How about adjourned?
Oh, that's done.